The real authority hasn't really been excited for Nobody 2. I'm not saying that it was going to stink, but I really do feel the first one is pretty much perfect. It was a surprising action film that had a lot of creativity, plus a lot of solid action. Odenkirk did a good job, of course. With this sequel, they actually replaced directors this time around, and the first trailer really didn't leave a good impression on me. It did feel like they were going for a more campier approach, which I was hesitant to see whether or not it would work. Hesitant's the wrong word. I was going to see it anyway, but I was nervous to see what the results would be, and I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that it would be worse than the first one. Even if it was good, I felt like that was an inevitability because the first Nobody was such a surprise, so a lot of high expectations. I mean, not for me, but a lot of expectations are already set for the sequel, so I just saw it, let's talk about it. So this time around, Hutch decides to take his family on a vacation to an old water park that he used to go to, where he finds himself not only having to use his killer instinct to take down bad guys, but said bad guys are trying to take down him. So now he must try everything to not only stop the bad guys, but keep his family safe. I'll say right out the gate, of course, Bob Odenkirk does a fantastic job as Hutch Mansell. Like, even if this movie stunk, and I'll get to my issues in a little bit, I do feel that Odenkirk sells his character. A lot of it has to do with the amount of charisma he has. Granted, he did extremely well in the first movie, so it's expected that he would also bring that same amount of charisma, if not more, for this sequel, and I felt like he did a great job. You feel for Hansel even with the numerous directions the script takes him this time around. I mean, all the characters. Connie Nielsen also gives a pretty fantastic performance. Again, they switched directors, and for Timothy Ahanto, he obviously had a lot of shoes to fill, and I felt like even though he doesn't completely fill the shoes of the previous director, Ilya Naishuller, I do feel he did a solid job in his own right. It does feel different, but not too different of being completely different from the original, so I gotta give Timo credit. Usually with cinematography, I'm able to acknowledge it when it stands out, and Keller Green stands out with her cinematography, so yeah. Screenplay, even though it has issues, I felt like Aaron Rabin and Derek Kolstad did a good job with the screenplay. I do feel that it may take some time getting used to, and I'll get into my complaints in a little bit, but for the most part, it did a pretty satisfactory and functioning job at continuing the story or making this story work. I mean, they're at a water park this time, so they're trying to create memories, which is completely different from the first one, but the screenplay makes it make sense. Even though shaky cam is much more prevalent here than in the original, because I felt like the shaky cam was kept to a minimum in the first one, this one has a bit more, but thankfully the action's so good that the shaky cam doesn't become annoying or obnoxious. It's just noticeable when you're going from the first movie, which rarely used shaky cam, to this one, which has a bit more jankiness, but the action's still fun to watch regardless. I would still give that as a positive. You are still able to enjoy how inventive the action was. And the action leads to a pretty satisfying climax filled with action. So if you need a reason to see this, I guess the action's a pretty good enough reason. The 1 hour and 29 minute runtime, granted the first Nobody had like a 90-minute runtime, but it worked. The runtime was pretty quick, and you know what? I appreciate when a movie's quick and actually justifies itself being that quick. Able to get in and out with the story and leaving audiences satisfied. Also, I laughed a few times. Fortunately, there was some stuff that kind of did not work this time around. I guess starting off, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I feel like you may be left confused until they, of course, explain themselves with how they set up the movie or start the movie. I felt like they were pulling some plot points just for the sake of being a sequel there, but it's not obnoxious by any stretch of the word, but I did feel a bit of that contrast between how the first movie ended off and how this movie starts off. It's just something that is not a major deal breaker. It's not even a deal breaker at all, but I thought it would be worth mentioning in the mixed elements. Not even negatives, but still worth mentioning. Speaking of which, nice to see Sharon Stone in another movie, but I do feel that she didn't really have much to do as the villain. She really does shadow what is a pretty serviceable villain from the first one, just by sheer knowledge that she doesn't have a lot to do. In fact, one of her henchmen or whatever has more screen time and has much more purpose than this. She's just the person that exists, the big bad guy for a finale. I guess that's all for the complaints. I really do feel that the first Nobody is a better movie overall and more enjoyable, but compared to my expectations with it, I do feel Nobody 2 does enough to make a satisfying sequel. It's not perfect by any stretch of the word, but you know what? I was able to enjoy myself. I really don't have any other words to say. It's really simple. It's a good time. The Real Authority approves. 8 out of 10. Since the issues aren't severe, I think I'm going up to a 9 out of 10. Surprised that was enjoyable, but yeah, that's about it. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and comment your thoughts. And also, which do you feel is better, the first one or the second? Again, me, the first, but you may have a different opinion. I would like to hear in the comments below. All right, peace.